guys ready to have an epiphany? A few years ago, I found myself in a position where we'd been in network marketing for about half of our lives. We had a pretty big business. We had a very large income. We had lots of nice things. But some things changed, and I looked and I said, you know what, even though we've done real well, we're in a model that I can't take my friends with us. And so I talked to Tracy, I talked to Randy and Valerie, I said, what do we do? And we decided to leave that company and go find some areas, some water that we could actually grow and we can actually take our friends along with. And we joined the Monavie business, and it's been great. How many of you are enjoying Monavie? I wouldn't change it for the world, but that said, it was a little bit different for us coming over to this new model. And what I want to do this afternoon in the short time I've got is I want to tell you a little bit about what we've done and what we've learned the last 2.5 years, because it doesn't really matter where you've been, it matters where you're going. Is that right? And how many here really do want to move on and go diamond and go blue diamond and go black diamond with us? Okay. Go ahead and Kent, go ahead and kick me on in the back if you would, and let's throw the first slide up. But what I want to talk about this afternoon is a little bit about the structure as far as how to develop the group and how to develop your businesses. There we go. We've already discussed the pattern. We all know that there's a pattern out there that if we follow this pattern, it'll work. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to go with Ross Craig and go down to a company, Video Plus, that produces Success Magazine, and one of the first things he did is he gave me all the manuals for Arbonne and for Prepaid Legal, all these different companies out there. And guess what each of those companies had in their pattern, or in their program? The very first one, they had something that looked very similar to this. Any of you ever seen this before? So if you're going to build Arbonne, if you're going to build Prepaid Legal, if you're going to build anything within our company, almost every single one of them, word for word, had the same context, had the same idea. You need a names list, you need a contact, you need to show the plan, you need to follow through. That was the first part of the pattern that we needed to go ahead and put together to get a track to run on, because all we have ever wanted since we joined Monavie is let's get a track that our people can run on. We know we got the best runners on our team right here, the best leaders in the industry, the best leaders I believe in Monavie are in this room right now. Now, I know some of you got your tongues hanging out, and you're wondering, kind of, well, hey, what the heck happened? Well, look, we've been looking, and like Columbo said, and you've heard this weekend, we've been studying to figure out what it's going to take this to the next level. And so Randy's going to get up here, and he's going to talk about the focus and building depth, and there's no one in the world that's better at covering that. But I want to talk a little bit about the structure. And let's go back and talk about the history of different types of comp plans within our industry. In our industry, there's basically 3 types of ways of making money or getting paid. The first is what they call the unilevel plan. In the unilevel plan, you basically sponsor a lot of people in with, and you get paid for the depth. Now, each of these have different variations, and unilevel is the oldest of all of the main 3. And I was actually part of a company that had what they called a unilevel breakaway. You actually sponsored a lot of people in with. As they got to a certain point, they broke away, and you got an override. That is the oldest model that's out there. About 25 years ago, somebody came up with an idea called the matrix. And the matrix looks really good on paper. It's kind of a grid where all the circles fill in as you build depth. By the way, all of these plans have some high points, and all these plans have some low points. But you got to understand the plans if you want to know how to actually maximize your particular plan. The matrix actually draws out on paper the best. The problem is if you actually have a hole in the matrix, that actually echoes throughout your whole group, and you end up losing some income that way. And so about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, somebody invented the binary plan. And the first binary plans, unfortunately, they maxed out at about $1,000 per week in each leg. Now, I don't know about you in here, but I wouldn't have left a big income and come over to an organization that maxed out at $1,000 a week in your legs. Amen? I mean, that's me personally. We wanted to have something bigger. And so a few years ago, some guys got together at Monavie, and they put together what they call the New Generation Binary Plan. And I'm very excited about the New Generation Binary Plan because what it allows you to do, I mean, I'll just give you an example for me personally. We went ahead, and when we left the other company, we left about approximately 50,000 renewing distributors, and we came over to the New Generation Binary Plan, and by the time we had about 4,000 distributors on our team, we made more income than we did with the other model. Is that a good thing? Okay, that's a good thing. Well, maybe I'm the only one that thinks that's a good thing, but that is a good thing. You guys will be excited about that. So we have a New Generation Binary Plan, and the plan draws out as a binary, but it also has what they call a unilevel personal enrollment tree. Now, how many of you in here know it's your personal enrollment tree? If you go to your back office and you hit your pair report, that's actually your personal enrollment tree. Now, I came over here and I thought, okay, well, that personal enrollment tree in the back office doesn't mean a whole lot. What we're going to go look at is we're going to go look at the binary plan. And so we focused on the binary plan, and we talked to a few folks and said, well, what is it we've got to do? How do we structure this thing as we come from our unilevel plan And we put them into a binary plan. And so we had questions like, do we sponsor what? Do we put people in adapted to binary or the personal enrollment tree? Do we put people bottom right or bottom left? Do we put them on the inside legs or the outside legs? Do we know we need 7-star 500s, but how do we structure this whole thing? And here's what we were told. We were told by the people who built the business big, and I'll talk about this in a minute, and I'll apologize in advance. I have a lot of respect for everyone who's built up Monavie the last 5 years. They're some of the brightest minds that are out there, but I will tell you what, I could have actually jumped in 2005 and showed plans of my boxer shorts, and I think I could have gone royal in the first 5 years of Monavie. Because Monavie launched, they had a very great product. The acai was kind of a new product to the market. Oprah Winfrey comes out and endorses it 2 weeks later, for heaven's sakes, and you're out there, you could be in boxer shorts doing tasting plans, and I think we could have built a big group. We are also in a very good economy. People had lots of disposable income. And there was a big wave that happened the first few years in Monavie that I think a lot of people, I don't know about you, but I went to my first Monavie meetings, and I saw some of the first generation people that came through Monavie that hit the high ranks, and I scratched my head. Are any of you with me in there? I kind of looked and said, oh my Lord, we're going to kill this. I thought we're going to destroy, we're going to build something that nobody's ever seen before. And the question is this. If I built my business to a Royal Black Diamond in my boxer shorts, do you think it'd be safe to say that 5 years later I'd be telling people, hey, you got to go out in your boxer shorts? The reason why you guys aren't growing is you're not wearing your boxer shorts to the tasting parties. Does that make sense? And we had a chance to go to Hawaii, and I got a chance, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I looked at a lot of different groups. I know a lot of the leaders out there. And a lot of the people that were really the biggest on what we're talking about here really weren't in Hawaii, and some of their folks weren't in Hawaii. And so it got us as a board to start to talk about what works with 2020 and what doesn't work with 2020. Let's go ahead and start with what works. When we got involved in Monavie 2.5 years ago, you needed 7-star 500 legs to go ahead and hit the higher ranks. If you actually missed a star 500, let's say you were qualifying as a black diamond, you had 3 main legs that were growing like crazy, but you only had 6-star 500 legs. It could literally cost you over $10,000 for losing that outside leg. So you had to have a lot of width to be able to hold together or make sure that you had 7-star 500s qualified. And as a matter of fact, it was kind of a flaw because what happened is the big leaders, they would lose their income off their big legs if their small legs didn't qualify. So a lot of them took their time out of the big legs and went over here and tried to spin these plates on these small, or they just gave up altogether and just bought the stuff and put it in their garage. Okay, it was kind of a weird deal, but that's one of the things that happened with the 2020s. You got enough people. It also created momentum. If every person that got in put in 40 personals, obviously that's going to create a lot of momentum, and it was very easy. I hear the early stories of people getting involved where, they'd do a tasting party, 200 people would show up, and they'd be lined out the door signing applications, all getting in. Now, I never have had that problem since I've been in Monavie, but I'm looking forward to having that problem, and I believe that problem is coming. It creates momentum. It worked very well in the past. And when we got in, everyone does it anyway. Everyone does it this way. Everywhere we went, they talked about showing the plan 2020. But I'll tell you what, the more I looked at it, the more I studied this. I've done this thing for half my life. And you can mess with the tourists, but I live here. And, and I'm not real excited about doing stuff that doesn't work. I don't know about you. And what I saw happening is this. There was a couple of things that happened right off the bat that I noticed. And I'm not meaning to beat this. I'll just tell you, you guys are builders in here, and this is leaders, and I want you to move forward. And as a board, we've looked at what is the best practices moving forward. It's virtually impossible to build any type of a team when you're building a 2020 vision. Here's the reason why. Because if you get involved here, and you're driving a group down, and let's say you get Bill in. If Bill gets in, and he's not doing much, and you take one of your personals and you put them under Bill, does that motivate Bill? Okay, it motivates him a little bit. Does it motivate him to do something? Okay, in a lot of cases the answer to that's no. So if I go ahead and put another person underneath them, does that motivate Bill to do something? If I put 1,000 people under Bill, does that motivate Bill to do something? If I have 10 million rollover points under Bill, is Bill any more excited than he was when I put one person underneath him? No. Okay, that shocked me. And I'm going to tell you, I got my lesser leg. I put 43 personals on my lesser leg, and then I put 5,000 people underneath them and put 1 million rollover points within a very short period of time. Of those 43, I would say all but probably 6 quit the first 6 months while I did that. Now, I was shocked. I thought this was the magic bullet. I thought if I could get my personal and throw a leg underneath, because here's the way they looked at it. And as a matter of fact, Bill didn't even, the bigger this got, it actually demotivated Bill, because the bigger this got, the more rollover points there were in there, and the less likely he was going to ever do anything down there, because he knew he had to do what? He had to focus on his other leg. Now, let's say Bill was one of the guys that actually got involved and got the idea. What Bill would then do is he'd say, I'm never going to work down here. I'm going to put Grandma on the bottom down here. Okay, we're going to put her on auto ship, but I'm going to go build over there. And for the first few months, Bill started to get a little bit of teamwork. And if he was really good, he started to develop a leg. But before too long, he got so good at this leg that there's rollover points that were amassing in this. And anyone he had that were good said, we're not going to work down there. We're going to work out here. Does that look familiar to any of you? And what I found myself in about 6 months ago is about 20,000 distributors, and I had two people that I can know off the top of my head, two of them in this room, that were actually spending time working in legs that had over $1 million rollover or $1 million rollover points in them. Everybody else was going and working on their lesser legs. Nobody was helping build depth. So it was almost impossible to go ahead and build depth. Go ahead and put that slide back up if you would. The rollover points drive the builders away from the greater leg. There's no support for your new distributors. They said, every person that you put in, you've got to put in the bottom out here. So I'd go put personals down here in the bottom. How many of these people in here are going to go help me build this bottom? None. And I'm busy working with all of these guys along with my other leg over there, so I don't have time to get to these guys. And so if these guys don't grow, what happens to the belief of everyone in there? It goes down, because they see the bottom. They go, shoot, Lance put people in the bottom, and he can't even make it grow. Now, I'm 392 in depth in my lesser leg, and I have no help down there. And I'm 50-something people wide. Of course they're not going to grow. I have no help. I wasn't able to create a team. So lack of the growth in the bottom hurts the belief. Now, y'all got depressed right about now, didn't you? Do y'all feel my pain? What I did, let me go back real quick. What I did last year, because I hate doing things that don't work for very long. I knew I was going to go to the hot place for doing this. I knew I was. But my last four, I'm going to go somewhere where it's really warm. But I said, you know what? I don't care what the heck they said in the past. That ain't not working for me. I put 12 personals or 10, 12 personals in the bottom of my leg. None of them grew. They all went away. No help, no support. I couldn't get to them. And the more I did that, the more it demotivated my whole leg. I went ahead and took the last 4 personals I personally sponsored, and I actually put them on the insides of the legs with people who are working. Now, I thought I was going to go to the warm place for that. You know what I got out of that? I got growth. As a matter of fact, Paul up here in the front row is one of my personals and is a new silver as of a few months back. So here we got a plan that we don't know how to work, and we got to go lie about the way we're placing people just to actually get some growth. Now, does that make sense? So it didn't make a whole lot of sense for us. We knew what did work. We knew the pattern worked. Let me go back a little bit. We had an answer to the prayers happen in July. In July, Dallin got up at the International Convention at the Diamond meeting and said, we will now, from this point forward, allow you to go ahead and build 3 legs in depth without having the 7-star 500 qualification, that you can drive now as deep as you can, and you can drive it all the way to Black Diamond with 3 legs. Now, there were a lot of people that were in the audience, and you could kind of hear the... For me, I was doing cartwheels. Now, not outside, because I'm not that personality. My wife maybe, but I was doing cartwheels. Because I thought this is the first time in the history of this industry that I know of that you could drive 3 legs in depth and get a 7-figure income. First time in history. We did that before, and the Unilevel would drive it down as far as you possibly can. We'd spend 2 or 3 years. We'd get people maybe to 6 figures. And then they'd have to stop that and go get another 3 and do it again, and get another 3 and do it again, and hopefully you can keep them all spinning. This is the first time in history. Let me tell you this again. This is the first time in history that I personally know of that you can take 3 legs, sponsor 3 legs, and drive them from person to person and get to a 7-figure income. If you go ahead and have 3 legs, not that you would want a 7-figure income because you'd have to pay more taxes, but if you were interested in it, it is available there. 3 legs at 5,000 points, as you can see on the screen, equal ruby. 3 legs at 10,000 points in volume per week equals emerald. 15,000 points in each leg equals diamond. 20,000 points in each leg in 3 legs equals blue diamond. 25,000 points in each leg equals Hawaiian. And you get 50,000 point volume in 3 different legs for 4 consecutive weeks, I believe, and you're going to hit the black diamond level with an average income of $25,000, $26,000 a week. Now, I get very, very excited about that. Now, the question came up. Go ahead and keep that back up there, Ken, if you would. The question is this. Okay, I know I need 3 legs. I got to have an A leg, I got to have a B leg, I got to have a C leg. How do we place them? If we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always got. And I don't know about you, but I'm not real happy what I got the last couple of years developing it the way that we did in the past. And so we looked at these three and said, we've got to get these three legs and we've got to build them, but how can we place them in such a way that it makes sense for us financially and it gives the brand new person the best chance of actually making it? And we actually did something that was interesting. I want to thank Mark for actually doing this. He called the corporation and says, who knows the compensation plan better than anybody else? And there's a whole series of events that led up to this. I remember being on a conference call probably a month ago with Billy Florence and Randy Haugen and Mike McCormick and Mark Crawford, and we were sitting there on the phone talking about we know what the change the pay plan, we can knock it out of the park. We know how to do this. As Mark said last night, this is in our wheelhouse. We know how to drive depth. We've done it. I've spent half my life doing it. I can do it in my sleep. I can sleep build depth. I mean, I don't know about you. Anyone can go ahead and build depth. But how do we go ahead and structure this? And what ended up happening is when we're in Hawaii, we had a meeting one afternoon, and a gal named Callie Mott showed up in the room. And Callie sat in the room, and we said, okay, you know the comp plan. She said, well, I know the comp plan very well. I think she said, I'm the chairperson of the compensation plan committee. I'm like, okay, well, you qualify. So she sat down, and the legacy board went after her. Okay, we said, look, this is what we want. We want three legs. We want to go ahead and drive these three down. First of all, if we drive three legs down like we're talking about, will we make money? And she said, well, no one's really done it that way, but yes, you guys will make money. I said, no, if we want those three legs, how do we place them? Do we place them like we did in the past where we're putting them in two separate spots? How do we place them? Do we put one here and then one here and keep driving? Well, that didn't work. And she said this. Here's what she said. She said, well, here's the way the pay plan works. Is if you get involved and you go star, you're going to actually participate in the number one income in Monavie, and that's actually team commissions, which is 10% of your lesser leg volume. She said the number two income in Monavie, you guys don't get paid very well. You don't get paid as well as a lot of the other countries do. Now, that got my attention. I said, what? Because how many in here like to get paid? And if it comes to getting paid, would you rather get paid a little or would you rather get paid a lot? And if they tell you that other countries are making more money than you, I don't know about what that does to you, but it got me thinking a little bit. She said, no, the number two way of making money is through the Executive Check Match program. And the Executive Check Match program comes from people making money. And she said, you guys are really the only ones that kind of go way out here and build it and put people in the bottom. Most other countries, when this launches, they fill in the middle. Really? My epiphany moment. So we said, if you're going to draw out three, and I think it was Mark that asked the question, if you're going to draw out three and you're going to go develop three legs and you're going to drive them down like we're talking about, where would you place those three? She said, well, it's simple. This is you. You'd put A there, you'd put B there, and you'd put C there. Now, I did about what you guys are doing right now, and I just stared at it for 2 hours. You could see smoke coming off my head. I'd never heard that before. She said, it's real simple. She said, if you don't have a leg that goes to the inside, and Louis looked at Kelly and said, well, that doesn't make sense. That won't work. You can't duplicate that. She said, sure you can. She said, if A gets involved, A would put their first one over here, they would put their second one over here, and they'd put their third one there. I'm like, well, you couldn't do that a third time, I bet. I said, what about B? He's all messed up. He's got C underneath him. Oh, that's simple. B would put their first one over here, they would put their next one over here, and they'd put their next one there. Now, I got to tell you, for a lot of you, that you guys are, I got involved in July of 2008 is when I got involved in the Monavie business. So I've been involved in the business for two years and a couple months. When I saw this drawn out for the first time, I had like wires and springs shooting out of my head. I had spent 2 years with the adage, 20 right, 20 left, don't give your personals away, put all your personals on the outside. Okay, and you guys did too. And when she drew this out, she said, oh yeah, the Koreans, they don't even have empty spaces. When you go to their site, they don't even have empty space. They just fill them all in. They're all filled in. And their executive check match is a lot more than you guys get paid. I said, cool. Yeah, for now. We know this. Go ahead, Kent, throw that back up again. Just go ahead and keep that up. They don't want to look at me. So she drew this out. And I sat there and I stared at it. And I said, okay, well, if we do that, we've got the binary, we've got A, B, and C, and we would structure them that way, we'll actually fit them in A, B, and C, and it really doesn't matter. And so what are the rules that kind of go along with this? And I want you to memorize these 3 rules and write them down. To go ahead and go star, what you're going to do is you're going to go star with A and B. Where do you put C? You put C on the inside of your lesser leg. Okay? Let me repeat that again. You're going to go star with A and B. So when you go ahead and get involved, or you get somebody involved, you're going to go star with A and B, and you're going to put C on the inside of the lesser leg. Now, if B takes off, you're going to put them on the inside of A, but you're going to put C on the inside of the lesser leg. Number 2, you're going to drive 3 legs deep, backing builder upon builder, driving the pair report. And C, this is another paradigm shift. You're going to use your contacts in depth to break through spots that you can't get through. Let me explain number 3 real quick. It's a natural phenomenon in our business that everyone has a sphere of influence. You have people you look up to, you have people you look, I don't want to say down on, but they look up to you. So you have people you look up to, and you have people that look up to you. When you get involved in this type of industry, the first people you typically talk to are the people who look up to you, because you could tell them to get involved, and they do. Now, they have people they look up to, which you're one of, and they also have people that look up to them. The first people they talk to are the people who look up to them, and vice versa, as far as you could go down in depth. And what happens for us, the way it manifests itself in our business is this. If you show the plan to somebody on a scale of 1 to 10 that is a 9, they're going to lead you to somebody who's a 7. That 7 will not take you to a 10. They will take you to a 6 or a 5. That 5 will then take you to a 3. That 3 will take you to a 2. That 2 will take you to a 1. And so what's going to happen, the way it manifests to you, is you're going to go from house to condo to apartment to homeless shelter. I don't know where you get. I remember driving a leg down some years ago, and I ended up myself in Brawley, California, in a Quonset hut with a single hanging light from the ceiling. And if you got the whole group of people together, they had one set of teeth. And I'm thinking, how did I get here? That's the natural phenomenon of our business. For me personally, that is the point where I will insert someone I know into that spot and keep driving. In the past, we've called it different things, some things like stacking and other things. Those things we were kind of, you said it real quiet in the back room, but that's okay. We've read it by the compensation, or by the Monavie. As far as they're legal, can we build it this way? They said, yeah, knock yourselves out. You can do what it is you want to do with your folks. And all I could do is smile. Because what that will allow us to do is that's going to allow us to drive an organization down like you wouldn't believe. We go ahead and get A involved. What do we do for them? We help them get A, B, C. We structure it right. We grab A, B, and C. We look at who's the best one. We take the best one. We book a taste in their house. We invite their other 2 personals, and we go to that house. We help them get A and B and C. We take the best one. We help them get A and B and C. And we drive this thing down. And I'll tell you the amazing thing about this. What works about this, and the reason why, let me see if I even have this. Nope. The reason why this works is when you actually go out there in a width model, one of the things about 2020 that I really wasn't excited about is it is extremely hard to go out there and put together and hold together a business that holds, that's 40, 50, 100 people. I mean, I don't know about you that are in here, but it's very hard to go out there and focus on 2020. It's hard to focus on 40 people. I've got some of my best builders in my business are people who weren't necessarily really relatable, but what I could say is I could say, you've got an A leg, a B leg, a C leg. What I'd like you to do is go spend the next 2 weeks and help them all go one more in depth. Okay, how much easier is that to say and do than go put 20 people over here and 20 people over there? Now, we know you're not going to be able to create teams, and they're going to probably die on there, but maybe we might get lucky and get 7 sole survivors that we can help go star. I'm not meaning to beat on that. I'm just trying to shift the paradigm here a little bit, because you know what? Anyone can be a hero when it's doing this. Any model works when it's doing this. It's when it does this a little bit, you look and say, okay, who's got the experience? Why don't they gather their knowledge together and find a pattern that will work so we can go ahead and build this thing? And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I have this. No, I don't. Let me see if I can go back one. I went ahead and I looked and said, how do I place my groups? Once I realized that we were supposed to go build depth, I'm going to tell you what happened to me in July. I came home July or June, right after the International Convention. I came back and I said, okay, well, Tracy, I ripped down my binary plan, which had 290 in depth on one side and 392 down on the other side. I ripped that down, turned the sheet sideways. I drew out A, B, and C legs. I said, okay, let's take our A leg, Trace. Go ahead and hit the computer. She got in the pair report. And I said, okay, who has the most auto ships in all of our personals. She said, well, that's easy. It's Gerald Emery, Blue Diamond Executive. I said, okay, write Gerald down. So she drew A, and she put Gerald Emery down. I said, okay, great. How many personals did he have? She says, I think about 87. I said, oh, crap, okay. Which is his biggest leg? And she went ahead and went through it, and she said, okay, that one's Philip Maury Fredrickson, for example. And I said, okay, how many does he have? He said, well, they got 47 in width. I said, okay, well, what's their best one? And she gave me the next one. How wide are they? Oh, they're 92. Okay, great. What's their best one? And I have a leg. This is no lie to me. We went through this in July. I had 15,000 distributors in that group, and I was 8 deep. Don't laugh. You are too. You guys are going to go home, and you're going to have an epiphany. You're going to draw out your group, because I want you to go home and look at your pair report, and I want you to track down, figure out your A leg, your B leg, and your C leg, find out those three, and go find out where the bottoms were. And I'll tell you what, you're no deeper than me. My second leg had about 3,000 people in it, and it was 4 in depth. And you know what the prevailing answer is in Montevideo that I was hearing? You're just not wide enough yet. You got to go out and throw more width on it. Okay, I'm gonna say something. I'm going to say this to myself, because I'll never miss this one again. If the answer to the problem of building your group is always add more width, you're doing something wrong. Something you're doing is fundamentally wrong if every time you get stuck, you have to go throw on new personals and start over. We will never, ever, ever do that again here in Legacy. We will never do it again. You got our word on that. So what's the game plan going out of here? We're going to go ahead and drive 3 legs down. We believe when we get 4 or 5 generations in depth, you're going to be silver based on the growth in those 3 legs. From there, you get 3 silver legs as you continue to develop depth, and you're going to hit the ruby level. And not a ruby for a day. You're going to hit ruby consistently in volume, week after week after week, because we don't care about you getting a rank one time and then wearing around a pin or wearing around something that you don't qualify for. We want you to hit it and stay there. You go ahead and help 3 of those people go ruby. You're going to hit the diamond level. And actually, 3 diamonds is real close to black, but I went ahead and put blue on the bottom. You help break 3 blue diamonds in the bottom of those 3 legs, and you're going to go black diamond. And that right there, folks, is the way we're going to build our business from this point forward. We know what we're doing, we know where we're going, and we want you to come join us. Thank you much.